get started, you want to take all your cords and then take your button and thread the cords onto your button. Once you've threaded all your cords on, you want to match the ends and find the centre. I'm going to do the shorter cords first, and then I'm going to repeat it with the second cords, the longer ones. Next you want to clip your button to the top of your board. And then you can arrange your cords in order. So you want the shortest two cords in the centre. You want to clip your two shortest boards to the bottom of your board. And then arrange two longest cords at either side of your shortest cords. And then take one of your longest cords at either side and do a square knot by going over, over and through, and then under, under and through. Now I'm going to do one more square knot here. Next you want to add your smaller beads to the outside cords that you haven't used yet. You want to do this very carefully because these aren't actually locked in place yet. And once you've beaded on both sides, take one of the sides and clip it to the bottom of your board, just so it holds it in place while you're doing your first set of knots. Then you want to run your beads to the end of the cords. Then take one of the cords that you just knotted with at the same side. And you want to do a hitch knot by going over and through. And then under and through. And then you can remove the cord from the board at the bottom of the other side and repeat what you did at the other side. Just push the beads up and then do your hitch knot. Now you can unclip your shorter cords from the bottom of the board, and you want to thread on your first of your larger beads. And then push this bead up to the small gap that you've created. And while you're threading on the first bead, you can also add a few at the same time if you want. This will just save a little bit of time as you're going along. So once you put your first bead in place, you can do a square knot just to lock that in place. And next you're going to be working with your smaller beads again on the outside cords. And once you've got those in position, you want to repeat your first step and do a hitch knot to keep them in place. So let's go over and through. And then under and through. And then repeat this on the other side. And once you've got your smaller bead into position, you can push your next large bead up the centre. And then do another square knot to lock that in position. And you want to keep repeating these steps until you get the necklace as long as you want it. And it should start to look like this after a couple of rows. Once you've got the necklace as long as you want it, you want to add your last set of small beads, and then take all your remaining cords in the centre, just leaving the two on the outside free. Clip all your centre cords to the board, and then do a square knot with the remaining cords over the top of them all. And you can do as many or as few here as you want. I'm going to do a few just for the back of the necklace, but this depends on how big your necklace is and how long you wanted it to be. Once you've done your last square knots, you can remove the cords from the bottom of the board and then divide them equally. Put half your cords to one side and take your other half and clip the inside cords to the bottom of the board, keeping one cord free as before. Then you're going to use your outside cord to do hitch knots again to create your buttonhole. How many knots you need will depend on the size of your button, so you want to measure as you go along just to make sure it will fit. Once you've done the first side, you can unclip it from the board and then repeat those steps on the other side. Make sure you do the same amount of knots on both sides. Once you've got the same amount of knots on both sides, you can unclip it from the bottom of the board and then clip all the cords back together, keeping the two at either side free. And then you can use square knots to close the buttonhole. Once you've secured the buttonhole, you can remove the necklace from the board. Now I'm going to trim and seal all the tail ends. So I'm going to just trim them off here, leaving a little bit of a tail end, and then I'm going to seal them with a lighter. But you can use glue if you prefer. And you can finish off by trimming the tail ends that you knotted over and sealing the same way as you did the first two. And once you finish, you should end up with something that looks like this. So you can fasten it at the back with your button, and that's your completed necklace.